With the selection of a jury in the Sean Diddy Combs case almost complete, prosecutors are preparing for opening arguments on Monday. But they admit there's a snag. One of their key witnesses against the rapper appears to have gone missing. This comes as we learn that Combs' ex-girlfriend, who was seen on video being assaulted by the rapper, is pregnant.
Before the courtroom doors even open, chaos is already unfolding in the lead-up to Diddy's high-profile trial. One of the central accusers, referred to as Victim 3, has mysteriously vanished from the public eye. Prosecutors have reportedly lost all contact with her, raising major concerns. Her sudden disappearance could deal a critical blow to the prosecution, as she was expected to be a key witness in the case. With her absence, the strength of their argument could be significantly compromised.
Diddy Combs' trial backing out? Victim number 3, as she's called, was set to testify against the music mogul. The name of victim number 3 was going to be revealed when she took the stand, but the woman has apparently gone missing, and prosecutors say they've been unable to reach her.
People just get nervous, and this person could just be nervous and just has had second thoughts.
If the prosecutor can't find this witness, how might it affect the case?
Look, I don't think it's going to have a tremendous effect. The prosecution is going to call a number of alleged victims. So look, this is just one less.
Someone else is also getting cold feet. A juror sent an email to the judge asking to be removed from the panel for issues of
Legal experts are already weighing in on the mounting complications surrounding Diddy's upcoming trial. One attorney observing the AE case explained that losing a key witness like Victim 3 could significantly weaken the prosecution's position. In high-profile cases like this, the intense media spotlight can push witnesses to back out, he noted. Still, he believes the case can move forward, if prosecutors aren't solely reliant on her testimony. Another legal analyst emphasized that when witnesses go silent or fail to appear, it amplifies the pressure on the remaining testimony. Despite the wave of lawsuits and allegations, only a handful of victims are currently expected to speak out in court. That limited number could dramatically affect the perceived strength of the case. A former FBI agent told NewsNation that witness protection is likely in play moving forward, underscoring just how critical their testimony will be to the trial's outcome.
A case against someone as high profile as Diddy is not an easy job. So I'm going to bring in former FBI agent Bobby Chacon to talk more about this. So off the bat, Bobby, how do you build a case against a celebrity as well-resourced and powerful as Diddy?
Well, it takes a lot, Sylvia, as you know, because the allegations in this case range from like 2004 to 2024. So this is going to be going on for 20 years, and they're finally getting around to charging him now and trying now. That's because it's so difficult to get people who are not afraid to come forward. This person was powerful, they were rich, they had a lot of influence, they were allegedly violent. So all of those things add up to making it very difficult for investigators to get people to talk to them about these. You add in the fact that many of these things are embarrassing. They're of a sexual nature. They're private. They take place behind closed doors, and that adds to the reticence of witnesses coming forward and talking about these things. And so investigators have to do a lot of long, hard work in getting these witnesses to trust them, number one, to make sure they feel like they are being treated, not as a pawn in a game to get Diddy, but as people that really care, that the prosecution cares about these people. And so you bring in victim witness people who are trained really and have the background in talking to people who are maybe victims of alleged sexual violence. And so you bring in specialists that kind of can talk to people like that and get them to open up about these things and to trust the investigators and trust the prosecutors, that they're just not going to be thrust into a situation. You have to get them to trust you so that if someone does make a threat, even if it's veiled, people can do that on social media now. They can say things that are kind of a little bit wonky sometimes, or these veiled threats. So if the witnesses that you're developing are comfortable enough with you, they will bring those threats to you, or those situations where they might feel threatened. You always have On the federal level, we have the Witness Protection Program, right, which is one run by the U.S. Marshal Service. That's kind of a very extreme step, because that's somebody, you change their identity, you move them to another part of the country, they're not allowed any contact with previous people in their lives. So it's the Witness Protection Program is one of the more extreme steps that you take, but there are other steps you can take to ensure the witness that they're not going to be subject to that. If anyone does make a statement that's even considered something like that, you send a team to go out and investigate and to question that person and to get them to maybe make a retraction or to kind of back off a little bit. So you do have to do a good job at making sure the witnesses are comfortable that if anything should happen that they feel uncomfortable about, they bring it to you, and then you have to address it in the ways that are available.
Is facing serious federal charges, with prosecutors alleging that he operated a criminal enterprise through his businesses, including Bad Boy Entertainment. According to the government, he used threats, firearms, emotional manipulation, and both physical and sexual abuse to maintain control and get what he wanted. The original indictment also raised alarms that Diddy might retaliate against witnesses, even suggesting he continued to intimidate potential witnesses while in custody. These allegations paint a disturbing picture of a far-reaching operation fueled by fear and silence.
On the surface, if the prosecutor's claims are true, this seems like pretty much textbook witness tampering, right? I mean, it appears to be an effort to either, in some cases, intimidate witnesses from testifying against him, or there have been other reports of sort of inducing people to make statements in his defense. There was some allegation that in one instance this was a statement that he, in essence, dictated or drafted with a woman who made a statement that was attempting to rebut one of the accusers, I believe, in a civil case against him. I mean, witness tampering is bad. The things that Sean Combs is accused of are terrible. He pleads his innocence. The justice system will presumably work its way through.
It is likely that there is some underlying truth to at least some of the allegations. There might be a lot of underlying truth to a lot of the allegations. There's probably some bandwagoning going on. We spoke to an attorney who's for one of the victims, alleged victims of Diddy a few weeks ago. I believe Amber Nomiki and I did, and they said they had calls, they had information, they had people, hundreds of them, come forward. They're not going to represent all of them. They're which ones have evidence that can be compelling. What are the best cases to bring that? I also saw a story in the New York Post. This is from a week ago about Diddy stuff that I wanted to read the headline of. Woman claims she saw minors dressed as Harajuku Barbies at Sean Diddy Combs' freak-off parties, what he was describing there to Conan so many years ago. Said these were sex-fueled parties with what she initially thought were little people dressed as Japanese Barbies. And she said, this is her talking to TMZ, are those midgets? And she actually thinks they were kids dressed up in sexy. Oh, gross. So again, that's just from someone who provided this information to TMZ for a documentary, but pretty disgusting.
It is. No, that.
Diddy is now facing a growing list of serious charges, including additional racketeering counts and the transportation of individuals across state lines for prostitution. If convicted, he could face a minimum of 15 years to life behind bars. Despite the mounting legal pressure, Diddy maintains his innocence. Even before opening statements began, the trial hit early roadblocks, most notably during jury selection. According to the presiding judge, several potential jurors expressed hesitation about participating in such a high-stakes and emotionally charged case. The court is taking extra care to ensure a fair and impartial jury is selected. Notably, high-profile attorney Ben Chu, best known for representing John, shared strategic insights on the kind of jury Diddy's defense team might be hoping to seat, suggesting that jury composition could play a critical role in the trial's direction. Meanwhile, Diddy's defense team is preparing to argue that some of his past relationships weren't entirely one-sided. Their strategy appears to hinge on the idea that in certain cases, both parties exhibited problematic behavior, but legal experts caution this is a risky defense. Just because a relationship was tumultuous on both ends doesn't negate the seriousness of the accusation. What truly matters, they say, is the power dynamic. Whether Diddy used his celebrity status, wealth, and influence to manipulate or control others, and if someone resisted that control, the consequences could be dangerous. Case in point, the chilling story of Aubrey Ade, which prosecutors are expected to highlight as evidence of how far things could escalate.
I wasn't willing to do what was expected of me. Not talent-wise, but in other areas. It's difficult when you're that young to understand your worth as a woman through the men that I was around, and that was very traumatic. I don't think any of us have healed from that. Diddy would be like, you're not hot anymore, like what happened? You don't have anything, like you don't have any curves. You're looking like you're not looking like, I can't get people to think that you're my good looking person. And there was no Me Too at that time. There was no protecting anyone at that time. You signed a million NDAs and a million contracts that took away all your
deal. Later came forward with a disturbing revelation about Diddy's intentions for her music group, claiming he planned to exploit them in a way that amounted to trafficking. According to her, his goal wasn't just music promotion, it was to pimp them out, turning the group into something far more sinister than a recording.